Welcome to Commissionerate of Collegiate Education. I am G.L.N. lecturer in charge, Department of Geology, Government College, Autonomous, Anantapur. My dear students, today let us learn about Darwinism. Learning objective of this lesson is to create awareness regarding the contribution of Darwin to the concept of evolution and also to throw light on subtle realities of Darwinism. And learning outcome is, by the end of the lesson, the students will be in a position to appreciate the subtle realities of life patterns. Now let us see how Darwin contributed to the cause of evolution. Charles Darwin is considered as father of evolution, and he went on voyage in a ship called HMS Beagle. HMS means Her Majesty's ship. In this HMS Beagle, Darwin went on voyage for nearly 5 years, and in fact this ship is meant for world survey purpose. This voyage continued for nearly 5 years, and Darwin visited many islands like Galapagos Islands. Galapagos Islands is a group of islands in Pacific Ocean, and these are very rich with flora and fauna. Charles Darwin studied tortoises and finch birds extensively in these Galapagos Islands. Finch birds studied so extensively by Charles Darwin, later these birds came to be known as Darwin finches. After studying all these flora and fauna in Galapagos Islands, Darwin came out with a wonderful treatise called Origin of Species. His famous book Origin of Species was sold like hot cakes during 18th century. And he listed out all his theories in this Origin of Species. But before that, let us try to learn about some scientists and economists who influenced Darwin to come out with such a wonderful magnum opus. There was one economist by name Thomas Malthus who wrote or who published one essay on principles of populations. Malthus opined that animals increase in geometric proportions. That means animal populations increase in 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 like that. Whereas resources like food materials will increase in arithmetic progression. That means resources will increase in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that, in that fashion. As a result, there will be a tremendous gap between the population and availability of the resources. This creates some sort of struggle for existence. Like that, being influenced by essay on population written by Malthus, Darwin proposed one theory called struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. Like that, Darwin was also influenced by another scientist by name Sir Charles Lyell, of course. Sir Charles Lyell wrote Principles of Geology. So like that, Darwin wrote all these theories just because of the influence on him by his peers and contemporaries. Now let us peep into the various sub-theories of Darwinism. Darwin visited these Galapagos Islands. This is of course the tortoise that is present in the Galapagos Islands, and finch birds and tortoises were extensively studied by Charles Darwin. And these two flora and fauna, of course this comes under fauna. He also studied different flora, of course, and these finch birds and tortoises contributed much to the concept of evolution in the form of Darwinism. Darwinism includes prodigality of the species, constancy in population, struggle for existence, variations, natural selection, and origin of species. Let us try to learn one by one. Prodigality of the species means every organism has got infinite capacity for reproduction. For example, in a single human ejaculation, the number of spermatozoa is nearly 120 million, which is equivalent to the population of India. And if you take certain protozoans like paramecium, they also exhibit tremendous capacity for reproduction. If you take the example of protozoan, namely paramecium, paramecium divides by binary fission, and if all the daughter paramecia that are derived from a single parent survives up to 9,000 generation, the weight of the paramecia will be 10,000 times more than the weight of the earth. By seeing this example, you can simply understand the magnitude of the problem. Salmon fish produces nearly 28 million eggs in breeding season, whereas starfish produces 1 million eggs in a season. If all these eggs that are produced or laid by salmon fish and starfish survive, the entire ocean will be filled up with these two species. But that's not happening. Why that is not happening means, of course, nature exhibits some sort of checks and balances. I will try to give one more example. Elephant is a slowest breeder. That means the gestation period of elephant is very long, and each female elephant may give birth to 7 to 9 baby elephants in its lifetime. But if all these elephants survive up to 800th generation, the descendants population will be something around 19 million, which is really magnanimous. And if you take human population gets doubled for every 25 years. So according to Charles Darwin, the human population exhibits this sort of doubling nature for every 25 years. If this is true, Indian population will surpass Chinese population within coming 25 years. But all these things, they are not happening. Still, the populations are kept at constant level by nature. Nature exhibits some sort of checks and balances. For example, if you take the present situation, today we are facing one pandemic in the form of COVID-19. This COVID-19 is acting as a check on human population. So like that, there are various factors that check the populations of animals and also human beings. Due to this prodigality of the species, the number of individuals within a species increase drastically. And as Malthus told, the resources do not increase in the same proportion. This creates some sort of struggle for existence, and the struggle for existence is of threefold. That is intraspecific, interspecific and environmental. Intraspecific struggle is the struggle that occurs between the members belonging to the same species. Intraspecific struggle is very severe because the needs of the members belonging to the same species is always similar. The members within a species share the same habitat and they depend on the same type of food material. As a result, this intraspecific struggle is very severe, and sometimes it may take the worst form of cannibalism. Cannibalism is nothing but eating up of its own race. So cannibalism, which is the worst outcome of this intraspecific struggle, it also acts as some sort of check on population. Second one is, for example, I will give one example of this intraspecific struggle. The example is the struggle between two lions, or the struggle between two dogs, the struggle between two cats will come under this intraspecific struggle. And coming to interspecific struggle is a struggle that occurs between the members belonging to different species. For example, the struggle between rat and cat is the best example for this interspecific struggle, and the rat is struggling for life and cat is struggling for food. And the last one is environmental struggle. This environmental struggle may be in the form of tsunamis, earthquakes, like that, sometimes breaking down of epidemics. So all these struggles come under this theory called struggle for existence, which lead to one fine concept called survival of the fittest. Nature selects the fittest individuals, nature selects the best individuals, and nature weeds out the unfit. Those animals with useless characters will be simply eliminated. For example, in this pandemic period, the human beings with tremendous immunity are surviving, and the human beings with less immunity, they are being eliminated. So nature overhauls the system like this. So due to this natural selection, best individuals will be selected and only fittest individuals will survive. And this concept is known as survival of the fittest. And the survival of the fittest was coined by Herbert Spencer. Whenever the fittest individuals survive, all the useful characters will get accumulated within an individual, and then it becomes a different species. It evolves into a new species, and this is called origin of species. So origin of species is possible just because of the accumulation of useful variations within an individual. So like that, there are many theories, of course, proposed by Darwin. The first theory is prodigality of the species, which creates some sort of struggle for existence, and this leads to the survival of the fittest, and natural selection scientifically selects the individuals with useful characters. Of course, I will give one more example for this natural selection. The best example for natural selection was provided by Kettlewell, and he gave example of Biston betullaria and its selection process in pre and pro industrialization period. Anyway, that will be studied later, and I will give one more example. According to Lamarck, long-necked giraffes were formed due to extensive use of neck, but according to Darwin, there were short-necked giraffes and also long-necked giraffes earlier, but during famine conditions, short-necked giraffes could not reach the foliage that is present on the top of the branches, whereas long-necked giraffes could easily catch hold of the foliage that is present on the topmost branches. As a result, long neck has become an advantageous character. Long neck has become a useful character. As a result, nature selected this long neck giraffes, and now long necked giraffes are surviving and short necked giraffes are simply eliminated. But sometimes nature priorities may change. What is useful character today may be a useless character tomorrow. Same thing happened in case of Biston betullaria. Before pre-industrialization, what happened? White moths were selected, but during post-industrialization, black moths were selected by nature. So like that, nature priorities may be shifted from one species to another, from one character to another character. Now let us list out the drawbacks of Darwinism. Darwin could explain the survival of the fittest, but not the arrival of the fittest. And Darwin failed to explain the presence of vestigial organs. Even without use also, the vestigial organs still continue in the human being, and human being contains nearly 180 vestigial organs, and he is compared with Salarjung Museum of Hyderabad. You can't find so many antiques, ancient stuff, even in Salarjung Museum. That is the reason why Wilders, a scientist, called human being as a moving museum of antiquities. And variations are not recognized by Charles Darwin, and mutations are also not known to Charles Darwin. He simply called variations as sports. And these are the various drawbacks of Darwinism. Now let us sum up. Charles Darwin is considered as father of evolution, and he was influenced by Malthus and Lyell. He wrote a book called Origin of Species, and he mentioned about prodigality of the species, struggle for existence, survival of the fittest, and natural selection. So this is about Darwinism. At the end, my profuse thanks to CCE Andhra Pradesh for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much.